Hello America, this is Stan Close, and we have a very serious challenge. U.S. citizens have lost trillions in home equity, foreclosures will top last year's records, and banks continue to fail due to toxic mortgages. The Fed has already purchased $1.7 trillion in these bad mortgages. They purchased AIG, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and they've dumped another $1.3 trillion into the FDIC. They've increased the money supply to dangerous levels, all in the name to stimulate the economy along with TARP, and the federal debt has now ballooned to over $13 trillion. The banks, who were loaning money to anyone with a deed 3 years ago, are now turning down credit-worthy buyers with solid jobs and down payments that can easily afford the mortgages they are seeking. Properties have dropped from artificially valued highs to now artificially valued lows. I mean, you really can't even build a house, even if they gave you the land, for what many properties are selling for. Our states, counties, cities, towns, and even our schools are busted because they projected and they planned budgets based on real estate tax revenues that are tied closely to real estate values. Millions of jobs have been lost because they are products of steady real estate growth, development, restoration, and maintenance. The entire nation, no, the world is ailing due to the collapse of the real estate market. Both Presidents Bush, Obama, and their Congresses have proven one thing. We cannot borrow and spend our way out of this economic disaster. We need to empower the private sector to restore a balanced real estate market to the United States of America. Such action will result in a return of positive equity position to millions and millions of U.S. homeowners. A balanced real estate market will provide taxpayers with a positive return on the federal government's acquisition of toxic mortgages, AIG, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and other financial institutions. A balanced real estate market will burst the bubble of artificially low real estate values, pouring tax dollars into state, county, city, and school board coffers. A stabilized real estate market will greatly aid ailing banks. It will return to taxpayers a well-funded FDIC, and it will provide all of us with a financial system willing and able to make competitive loans to qualified real estate buyers. So, if you're still with me, you're asking yourself, well, how do we do this? How do we empower the private sector to correct the real estate market? The answer is surprisingly simple. All you do is change the 1986 tax code. You do away with the passive category for real estate, and you place it in the portfolio category with stocks, bonds, commodities, and other equities. In 1986, the former president of Merrill Lynch, Donald Reagan, who was also the Secretary of the Treasury, brokered an agreement to create two separate investment tax categories. First was portfolio income, which included commodities, stocks, bonds, and equities whose losses and gains could be offset with each other. So, you make money in pork bellies, but you lose it in stocks, they offset. Now, what Wall Street did is they took real estate and they put it into a separate category called passive, which cannot be offset from the stocks, the bonds, the commodities, and the other equities, unless you somehow magically converted real estate into some Wall Street instrument, such as a REIT, a real estate investment trust. So, investors' money poured out of real estate and went into stocks and bonds and futures and commodities, pork bellies, silver, gold, you name it, because they could all offset each other. You could make and lose money, and they all offset each other. Real estate stood alone. That was Wall Street's intention, and it worked. So, how did Wall Street accomplish removing real estate from the equity investment tax category? It was actually an ingenious quid pro quo. They allowed an exception in this new 1986 tax law, and that was you were able to deduct your home mortgage interest and your real estate taxes from your salary income. Wall Street, we now all know, manipulates the mortgage market, so this too was a money-making strategy. No quid pro quo here. This old realtor recognized the scheme for what it was, and in 1992, the speaker met with Richard Darman, President George H.W. Bush's OMB director and presented a white paper called Uncommon Sense. On January 25, 1992, in an article entitled "Remax Head Offers Bush a Recovery Plan," the Pocono Record reported of this meeting.
Close warns that the trend of millions of homeowners utilizing their home equity to pay off short-term consumer debt could thrust America into a depression. Consumers are being enticed saddling their homes with enormous debt to obtain an interest tax deduction for cars, credit cards, and other consumer goods, he explained. Should Congress fail to correct the current tax law once the economy begins its inevitable downward movement, the jobless recessive trend will climax when homeowners begin to default on equity mortgages instead of credit card and car payments. Our country could be faced with millions of Americans losing their homes because of overextending prompted by aggressive home equity mortgage lending.
Unfortunately, my white paper was not heeded. People borrowed heavily on their homes. Banks made it very easy. Wall Street packaged the mortgages and sold them, giving the banks more money to loan. Borrowed that money, they took advantage of the tax deduction and leveraged themselves beyond any reasonable banker's formula. The economy turned, real estate declined, and the artificial value bubble burst. The purpose of this video is not to play the blame game. I'm trying to explain simply what we need to do to fix the real estate market, and that is get rid of the passive category and move investment real estate into the portfolio tax category. This will result in investors diversifying their stocks, bonds, commodities, and other equities, exactly what Wall Street does not want, into real estate. So millions of Americans will look to purchase investment real estate to offset investment gains and losses in their stocks, their bonds, their commodities, and other equities. A balanced real estate market will return as inventory is acquired and property values will rise, ultimately correcting the current mortgage crisis. At the same time, when this tax law is changed, Congress should also limit mortgage tax deductions to 70% of the original purchase price of a home. This will stop people from utilizing their home equity to take advantage of their ordinary income tax deduction. I have been a strong advocate of this position since 1992. In 1994, I made it a theme of my U.S. Senate campaign. Additionally, I recently gave a presentation to the National Association of Realtors in their November 2008 Orlando conference. Please email this video to your congressperson today and tell them to stop spending your tax money on failed government programs to recover the real estate economy. A simple tax change of real estate from the passive category to the portfolio category will energize investors all over this nation to acquire real estate and thereby create a balanced market. Snap out of it, America. Ignore Wall Street's protests. Real estate. Real estate needs to be returned to Main Street. It needs to be offset against their crazy stocks, their commodities, their debentures, their oil futures, their gas futures, their pork bellies. Put it all on the same playing field. It's real property. Get rid of the passive category, put it in portfolio category, and let's end this nightmare for ourselves and our children. The 1986 Wall Street Tax Act has been and is a miserable failure, and because of it, our nation is teetering on insolvency. From the enactment of the 1787 Northwest Ordinance to the acquisition of Alaska and beyond, real estate disposition has been the cornerstone of our prosperity. In 1986, we trusted real estate to Wall Street, and they have bankrupted us with their absurd instruments of quick money financing scheme. Change the 1986 tax code now. Place real estate back into the hands of Main Street by moving it to the portfolio tax category. I will say this calmly. If we do not take real estate out of the passive category, limit mortgage home deductions, and restore a balanced real estate market, the debt and equity loss will result in a great world depression because those unscrupulous Wall Street executives packaged artificial value mortgages and sold them with the help of their bond-rated conspirators as AA equities to the world. We, the people, are morally obligated to fix this real estate national nightmare.